We couldn't have drawn it up any better. HeroesHearth and Octalysis are all squared up 2-2 in our final game of the night and the weekend. And Octalysis trying to establish themselves as one of the top teams by taking down the top 2 teams this weekend. HeroesHearth, Dreadnought, trying to make sure that they stake their claim firmly and retain that #1 spot, which even in a loss they would. But as we've said already, if they win this, there's no doubt about it.
And it's crazy here with the adjustments that we have seen through Octalysis as time has gone on. It started out with very, very wild drafting, the kind of anti-meta as I was talking about originally. Then as they got pressured against maybe more higher caliber opponents, it seems like they were willing to get a little bit closer to meta, And now here, even throughout this series, I feel like we've almost landed purely on meta outside of like, a pocket pick, which I don't think that is fair to say that is that diverse. And that was a question we had against Octalysis is how long does this last? Does it always show up against any opponent? And I'm at the point here where I feel like that is not the case. And now doesn't even have the tools to take on HeroesHearth Esports, who still looks great, even with some of the adjustments they've had.
First pick has won out every single Battleground so far. As we find out Battleground number 5, Octalysis
will get first pick, but it's selected by HeroesHearth Esports.
Yeah. So Dragonshire, the name of the game. Both of these teams, Abathur comps aplenty.
But one of these teams, Summerl comps, I don't know about aplenty, but it's there. It is a thing. The off-lane pressure applied by Octalysis last time through the Summerl Abathur composition they had, it looked good. 12-minute and 30-second game against Dragonshire of Tempo Storm. Debatably the best Dragonshire team that we have in North America.
Let's find out who our victors will be on one of the most decisive battlegrounds, not just in North America, but it seems like all regions have a taking towards Dragonshire.
It's one of my most happy moments of international map meta. And the fact that Dragonshire is kind of internationally appreciated at this point in time. There was a long period of time where it disappeared, and I think it is only fitting that we end this series, the conclusion, on it. Diablo is the start here for the bands of Octalysis.
You know HeroesHearth was watching. If you missed that game, it was a Valera Summerl with the M.
Medivh taken away. Maev removed by Octalysis, not wanting that in their own hands, even though they have the first pick opportunity. Does HeroesHearth ban out the Abathur? They do. Leaving Genji available for Octalysis that they would like. Doesn't seem like that would be a hero that plays to that diverse playstyle that easily. It very limits the approach to Dragonshire. So they're going to stick with the Deckard here, take that away from BBJ.
That just enables a hammer composition now. So HeroesHearth will opt to take that away. Deckard plus Sergeant Hammer, so strong. This is easier to work a Li Ming in versus a Chromie. Li Ming on Infernal Shrines has difficulty getting onto a hammer, getting those skill shots through. Dragonshire doesn't have the same complexities. See if Octalysis will lock it in.
But HeroesHearth has a lot of control over the bottom half of the battleground for now. Genji is going to be selected. Yrel with the pressure towards top. I want to know if we get ourselves that Blaze ban for Octalysis, knowing that Yrel is going to be in that top lane and Genji's going to be applying pressure towards that, removing somebody not only for the macro pressure that Blaze can provide, removes the sustain and allows for more reset opportunities. But first up, HeroesHearth ban. See if they want to rid of the warrior pool, considering they have to pick up one for themselves. Still not willing to risk the double support.
The tank Uther is a threat. Zeratul has warranted so much respect by Octalysis. They will take that away, leaving Blaze an option. We've seen Octalysis use that as a secondary measure of defense for a Sergeant Hammer composition.
So we move down here. HeroesHearth 5 seconds out for the next 2 picks. What do we got? Dahaka in that offlane, Johanna. So having the Dahaka in the offlane to survive the ganks, very likely with the Genji pressure. Johanna helps a lot when it comes to that offlane control. I feel like HeroesHearth here, for the first 4 picks, has to feel like they're walking away with the better Dragonshire draft so far.
Li Ming seems like it should be a likely choice, but Junkrat will be the pickup. Justine's hero, what's it going to be?
Murden.
We're full meta when it matters most here.
And in the world of full meta, I'm still leaning heavily towards HeroesHearth with this draft.
This might just be a Thrall. We've seen Talking Trees on it multiple times throughout the weekend for HeroesHearth as a sub. Does do well in this battleground if they want to run it.
Valeera.
Oh my goodness. Anything you can do, I can do better.
And you said my singing voice was the one that was going to make it on cast.
Oh man. But you loved mine?
Yeah, no, it was good.
Yeah, I've been working on it for the last like 3 seconds, so.
I want to sit there and be like, ooh, we got ourselves the Valeera. I'm excited for this, but I can't help but feel like that Valeera pickup, I look at the draft, I was like, I'm locked in. This is HeroesHearth Esports game. I don't think that the Valeera, it's like one of those that you can't make it happen with it, but it is one of those, if it's the thing sharking around looking for kills, you've lost a little pressure on the bottom half. Hammer's going to be fine with that. Johanna's going to be fine with that. But if she gets caught out in rotation, she's not going to join that siege that well. And I'm not sure she wins with the off-gank rotations either. So I felt like it's just one of the few ways in this draft you could take a risk that maybe Octalysis can punish.
It's always that interesting dynamic. Genji does very well to reveal stealth heroes. We know that Valeera does incredibly well. You get a whole different set of abilities when you are stealth. That's where the silence comes in, the growth, getting that damage, getting that lockdown, and staying on top of a hero. But Dragonshire has very narrow chokes between that top mid where Genji passed through. Finding a Valeera is easy in the open, in the bush, will be interesting to find out.
But here in the blue is going to be HeroesHearth Esports in Game 5 with BBJ on the white main, Ishbu on the Johanna, McIntyre going to be playing the Dahaka, Talking Trees on Valeera, and Crowan here is going to be on the Hammer.
Octalysis trying to take down the 2 Titans of North America all in one weekend. They will do that with Justin on the Murd, Goku. They'll be on Urel, Draded on the Genji, Prismat on the Junkrat, Buds on support, rocking the Decker.
Lane clash here. HeroesHearth Esports not even committing with a full 5 versus 5 kind of opener. Gonna look for that offlane pressure, knowing that the Johanna can get the clear in the downtime. Talking Trees already going to stop the rotation towards the top lane. Octalysis only seeing Ishbu in mid and should know something's up here.
And this is the rotation where you see Valeera on the minimap will be the rotation, and that's why I think we see Genji taking the safe path there. As our attention here in the bot lane, it will be a lot around the Hammer, which is where the Junkrat comes in. But just like we see in Korea Dreadnought, when you have that Genji, you have this style of composition that can dive and execute. Junkrat will be left to his own devices a lot in that bot lane to try and defend. He will have a tough defense against a Sergeant Hammer.
Yeah, not the easiest opportunity to take that down, and so because of that, Octalysis is looking for off-lane pressure to make up for that. Yeah, we might not be able to match the Hammer down below, but what if we match on the top half of the battleground instead?
Well, you bring this up a lot, is that if they do get that top lane pressure, ganking the top lane becomes infinitely easier when you start to take down structures. It makes it so much easier, and the point of retreat, that distance to safety from a top laner is very, very far. Right now, though, no heavy emphasis yet on that.
Yeah, they aren't going to look to team up, if you will, with the camp. At least not now until Genji is going to join up with Urel. Eventually, Justin will make the rotation up. He's just anchoring along with Johanna, making sure she doesn't get the clear for free. Mac going to get knocked away here, but has a burrow, should be comfortable and just fine, as Valeera now anchoring forward towards the siege. We see the damage out. Half a turret, not what you would like to see if you are an Octalysis fan in that top lane, considering Hammer has already made that happen in the bottom.
We've got the Maelstrom rounds for Sergeant Hammer, as we saw previously. Starting to become more and more meta. So much ambush pickup for that auto attack proc, as Kron will eat some damage there from Justin. But we're starting to see the adaptation and evolution in builds even with Sergeant Hammer at the level 1.
Lane control over mid now for HeroesHearth. We're going to see Valeera and Johanna make the rotation towards top, while we see Octalysis get the temporary pressure on the bottom half for the first time in a while. See if they stack their Giants in this downtime. That seems like the common go-to play in this window, to demand some answer from HeroesHearth temporarily in bottom and then look to make a play back on the top half of the battleground. It looks like they will go for those giants, but I can't help but feel like this is, again, one of those, it feels seconds too late from compared to how much control HeroesHearth has already gotten in this early game.
Urel top lane, diving over. This is pre-level. Oh, he dodged the drag, and that allows him to jump out. Level 7 as Goku makes sure and lets him know that this is fine and calculated. Post-level 7 Valera, it's a lot more damage in a very short amount of time.
See if that has enough damage to get those kills as time moves on. Right now, Octalysis getting the siege down on bottom. Jay, this is not a composition that should be able to post up here on bottom. This is because of Valera putting so much emphasis towards top, but Goku is very safe there on the Urel to hold her own. That Genji now becoming a placeholder, and Octalysis is getting counter pressure on bottom.
There's no responsibility of Urel to win that shrine.
No.
If you just play safe, you can control this bottom lane, which is exactly what they're doing. And they're doing it to great success. Valera lurking.
Really interesting. It's really cool as well to watch that kind of unfold. Justin's just fine here on mid. His Bud's over on the side.
Is that their duo nickname?
I was thinking about it. Busting? It sounds like it.
Goku will continue to duel with McIntyre. Talking Tree is always lurking. You can see the shurikens are trying to snip out, find that Valera.
There's a hammer pressure down below. Gets its first turret. Already got the front wall. Jay, normally we don't talk about this too much, but it's going to be a problem in that bottom lane because so much damage has already been done to that center gate. The minion's going to take it and then all focus towards that other turret. It's going to amplify how fast the siege happens on bottom, and a big advantage here in favor of HeroesHearth Esports in this final game.
With those Maelstrom rounds, that's where it becomes more terrifying. Goku with the knockback, but the Dark Swarm does allow you to pass through targets. The drag for the follow-up. Armor provided here for Goku as he jumps over towards Buds. That will amass in that bottom lane. For Junkrat, you don't mind playing against the hammer with your level 4 talent. That allows you to stack fairly easily. It's Murden. Pretty beefy, able to walk away.
And here we see the top lane pressure that Octalysis has. I'm going to use the word garnered here, but when we take a reflection towards bottom lane and you compare that to what HeroesHearth has made happen, and you ask, has it been worth Octalysis? The answer for now is still a clear no.
We don't see going into the Q build as just able to jump over. Instead, we're seeing eviscerating an enemy. So a different opening for Valera. A different build here, something I believe I've only seen once up until now. Hammer in that bot lane, Dreadnought,
is a problem.
It's going to town.
And a lot of that is because Octalysis is okay with that. I think that's one thing we have to highlight here is that rather than Octalysis taking a poor laning mismatch and letting the game fall out of control, they're keeping up an experience through that top lane pressure, but I don't feel like they have rotated near enough people at the right times to contribute enough resources up there. They've kind of been interested, but not as focused as it seems like they have been throughout this game. And so they're comfortable losing that bottom fort. They made that decision long, long ago in this game, but they haven't gotten the same trade ratio that they would like to.
Well, a lot of emphasis now between the mid and bot lanes. Genji starting to rotate down. Valera still lurking, trying to find somebody. Justin trying to make his collapse in. Genji follows up. Self-cleanse available. Lornado not able to pull in Krohn. So attempt number 1 there, but Talking Trees might find himself in a bad spot.
Oh, juke on the Stormbolt with that dash to get the hammer knockback out of that scroll of ceiling as the Riptire goes through.
Wrong way. You'd like to see that knockback the other direction.
Yeah.
Speaking of knockback, Justin said we might not have drafted awkwardly meta, but
concussion line.
X-Strike comes down, traded, see if he can track him down. Instead, Krohn able to walk away. Avatar was locked in here.
But Dragon Knight control going over to Octalysis in a second here, but they might be in a bad spot. Buds might have to use the Lornado here as Justin over the wall. Scroll of Ceiling's going to get thrown down. There is the Lornado. Trees is the focus for Drayden for now as he goes in with that Switch Strike, but look at that brush talk. McIntyre finds the drag onto Genji. BFG goes down the middle of the team as Justin lands the Stormbolt. Heels coming out, but Goku flanking from above.
See, once that wears off, the silence is going to be there. See if he gets a knockback. There's the Ardent Defender. That will get the knockback onto Valera. Valera will try and collapse back onto this. Octalysis is very low in the mana and health department here. They're forced to disengage.
That was a big concern, though, for Octalysis here, because that was the first time that we got ourselves a 5-on-5 to see what that actually looked like in the skirmish. Laning phase, struggling for Octalysis. Team fight phase, maybe even more so, based on what we got in that bottom lane. And J-How, that's step 1 and 2. The point A to point B of Dragonshire is laning into that team fight. So I'm very concerned for as this game moving on. I feel like Octalysis has got to find a way to set up those ganks, those picks that they've been looking for, but just too kind of squirmy of a composition from HeroesHearth.
If it's any hero other than Sergeant Hammer, though.
Valera's been juking a lot too. Got to remember that it's been multiple targets. You are right. Hammer is
all
about the hardest.
Sergeant Hammer is insane. Even at this level, it's difficult to pull off. With that fort being down, Octalysis is looking for opportunities elsewhere. See if we get an early Iron Skin use. Ishbu Discipline will lock that in. Justin only 14 stacks between his level 1 and his baseline without any kills in the game. Hard to get that 3 stack on your baseline.
And back to the bottom lane pressure here for HeroesHearth. I think I've said enough when it comes to Octalysis being comfortable with their top lane pressure, but I feel like they haven't given enough, so now they have to deal with the fact that they're out-traded. Gonna land the Stormbolt here onto trees. Now, with the double shrine control.
Oh, HeroesHearth is rotating up. They have 13 advantage. Goku will buy some time, but in comes Valera. The brush stalk is there. The silence, that should be enough. BFG will help confirm the kill. Excellently done there by HeroesHearth. Riptire not in time. First DK, first kill here for HeroesHearth to try and take control of this game number 5.
Siege continues through mid. After the bottom 4 already going in favor of HeroesHearth Esports, the laning situation already going in to their direction. Every structure lost here for Octalysis is a major setback in this game. Goku should be able to make it out with that nice reveal there. Should juke 1 drag, not even going to be necessary there as we get a couple of B steps out. And now HeroesHearth Esports rotate this Dragon Knight from mid. This is a different decision from HeroesHearth Esports. We've never seen them go for top lane pressure with a Dragon Knight, but this is an adjustment, and it's going to be a lot more difficult, even more so with that top lane pressure Octalysis ever intended to have. They're losing it now based on the second Dragon Knight.
The Maelstrom weapons. There's the silence, though. Avatar, is it available? It is not. Too much silence, too much CC. That's Muradin. He'll fall. 10 seconds left on this DK. Starting to back up is Octalysis. They'll have to concede this and watch the experience jump even greater for HeroesHearth as they start to amass a level and a half, almost 2-level lead, start to work their way towards that 16-tier advantage. As the long game goes and you have that global in your favor, you have so many more options available to you as HeroesHearth now.
Yeah, this is, if I'm HeroesHearth Esports and you were to say, you know, this is the draft we went with in the Valera pick situation, if you take this screenshot and you say this is the game that you've got, you go, I have a hard time finding a way that I end up losing this at that point in time, because they have been so successful within the laning situation. And I thought the only way that Octalysis would find a way to get that upper hand is either through that top lane pressure, which I don't feel they did enough, or catching picks onto trees, which trees has just kind of been a placeholder throughout this game. Last attempt here over this giant camp as the stun lands onto BBJ. Lornado's going to knock him back. Switch Strike ends up going through, but the Scarlet Aegis as X Strike ends up landing. Riptire goes down, but BBJ survives as now the drag lands there. At the blind follow-up coming through from HeroesHearth Esports. Ardent Defender popped, and Octalysis on full retreat now as mercenary pressure mounting in the top lane, and 16 around the corner for HeroesHearth.
Hammer knockback, condemn, drag, Lornado, concussion mine, hammer from Urel. I was watching bodies flop around like a fish out of water there. Nobody died.
Stormbolt lands, they know he's there. Cleanse comes out though.
Oh, Dahaka's coming in as well.
Brustock, isolation onto BBJ, or excuse me, onto Buds there. Octalysis is going to lose Buds. Silence there lands onto Drade, adjusting with the Dwarf Toss. adjusting, trying to make the play there on the Valier as they knew that that was the stealth chosen area. But with 16 in the response of HeroesHearth being close enough, they keep the onslaught here. 6 seconds out from the next Dragon Knight phase. And HeroesHearth Esports should be able to set this up for a very likely second Dragon Knight.
Crowan at this point is shielding Talking Trees from being revealed with those last few. Wasn't the initially intended reason. Sergeant Hammer, sieging up with those Maelstrom rounds, has managed to take down one tower, almost a second. And if HeroesHearth gets a DK at this stage of the game, can threaten keep from here on out. And once that's down and the experience is obtained, then you start looking for win conditions for HeroesHearth.
Octalysis has found a window, though, with that 16. I didn't know if they would honestly reliably be able to have that happen during this Dragon Knight phase. HeroesHearth Esports, with the rotations that they made, they are kind of looking more towards their sieging capabilities with the hammer on the composition. It is giving them advantages, just not straight through the Dragon Knight in the same sense. So it's given Octalysis a chance here at forcing a fight.
Ishbu anchoring. Murden showing top to make sure not to give up that shrine. Tahaka could capture that and instantly brush stalk mid. You have to defend one area or the other. He's gone top. Bottom lane defended, 16 picked up for Octalysis. They are going to need some play making.
They don't know Draded or Buds are here. Stormbolt lands. Now they know. Drag misses. Burrow is all he's got available. Swift Strike there for the body block. Dark Swarm there. And HeroesHearth Esports is going to be close enough, if you will. That was more Octalysis just not being confident. But they do make it. Now Goku leaps forward. He's going to get rooted in. Condemned with the isolation back. And that is a good night. Goku is out of here. McIntyre lands the drag. 2 for nothing. HeroesHearth just open up that skirmish.
This might be enough for them to start to close this out. There's going to be another route there made by BBJ. Justin gets interrupted on the dwarf toss. This should help confirm kill number 3 as BBJ hit him with the B-step. Static healing is keeping him alive for now. See if he has another dwarf toss, but BBJ look for another route. Unable to land it. Hits the healing. Static survives for now. Ishbu coming over. Not this time.
Got the kill there. And also there was a big play temporarily in between all of that. The second that that fight went sour, Junkrat was like, I'm going to this bottom. I'm going to get this converted in favor. But McIntyre with the brush stock before actually just said, nope, I'm going to deny you of that. Make sure we get this Dragon Knight. And with that, HeroesHearth Esports now look to keep up the breaking of the base here of Octalysis. Minimum bottom keep. It will not be enough for the immediate 20 spike right away, but it sure is close.
They're already moving forward like they want to end this game. Isolation is hit onto Urel. The DK comes in, gets the kickback. Ancient Blessings trying to rip this down. BFG comes out as well. The DK down to 50%. Octalysis trying to hold. HeroesHearth trying to close it out. Draded goes in the backside, as does Goku. There's going to be a stun. The shields have fallen. The DK, it's already taking down the core. 60% falling. Octalysis needs to return, but it looks like HeroesHearth does have enough to close out this series and take down Team Octalysis.
HeroesHearth Esports showing that there is about no bump in the road that can stop them from taking their path here, what feels like to BlizzCon, through the dominance that they have had here early in North America in 2018, and now not letting it go through even with some of the struggles that they have had. It is impressive. This new approach that Octalysis has had, many teams have fallen, have feared what is brought to the table, but they make it look, honestly, pretty silly to a certain extent there, because they kept it to where they were just forcing them more and more towards meta and then just making it look more and more like HeroesHearth game to lose.
The one thing for HeroesHearth, Dreadnought, in all of this, they're not yet qualifying for BlizzCon, but they are only a couple of games away. They don't even have to win their series beyond this. The worst they can do match-wise would be to tie Tempo Storm, but in that plus-minus record, they have almost secured their spot. They could potentially do that next weekend. For Octalysis, they are the team that they were out of the running for that automatic qualifier. So for them, taking down Tempo Storm, taking Heroes Hearth to 5 games, winning over their previous opponents, including Tempo Storm with that 3-0, they've established themselves as a serious threat towards that playoff push. We only have 2 spots in North America. They established themselves in a playoff chase and a threat towards that spot. It's going to be fun to watch when we do get playoff time for a team like Team Octalysis, who, oh, by the way, when it came down to the playoffs towards midseason brawl, lost in 5 games to Heroes Hearth.
Yeah, it's great to be able to see, have history, at least have the opportunity to repeat itself, outcome being whatever is the best team there on that day. But, one thing that really stood out for me when it came to today's games, it's a guy we talk about once in a while, but I feel like today on his performance on Whitemane was BBJ. If you watch even those last initiations, I feel like he's very much been able to figure out where is the value of Whitemane, time and the place to get those healing output, because every time they realize, hey, we're struggling to find a way to kill any of the other targets, the question was, can we kill BBJ? And BBJ perfectly kited around really great Scarlet Aegis uses and just understanding the kit really well.
Things are looking up for Whitemane. Rough start that we saw from our early Whitemane games, but as time has gone on, we've seen the playmaking potential. We see the healing output has been pretty substantial for Whitemane players, and the root and everything towards the end was very strong there for BBJ.
Yeah, very much was. And I started this series talking about how I feel like, what Heroes Hearth was dabbling in for a little bit, Octalysis was pushing into that extra envelope. I feel like that last game was a perfect example of that. By keeping the Valeera in the side lane and knowing, well, we're winning through bottom, and that's going to be the problem through this battleground in the long run, and Octalysis wasn't getting enough on the top half, it just shows the ins and outs of the game that Heroes Hearth seems to still show that they are the best in North America and have the best knowledge about, I guess.
Let's talk to the man who was in that top half of Dragonshire in that last game. It's going to be McIntyre. McIntyre, a very hard-fought series, against a very unorthodox team of Octalysis. How does it feel to make sure and close that series out?
It feels wonderful. I think this is like the first time I'm shaking here. Like the nerves of that last game, the excitement. It feels really good. We've never lost to Octalysis in our lives, and we continue to never lose to them. So it was a really good game today, and I'm proud of the team.
There were plays made on both sides of the off-lane role between you and Goku. It was a battle of who could perform the best, and at times you were carrying for your team, at times he was carrying for his team. What's that matchup like, especially in that last game where there's so much contention over that top lane between the Genji, the Valeera to help support that? But the totality of the series, what's that matchup like against a player like Goku?
I think for me and him, we both love to try to outplay each other. So we were at a point in the game where we weren't trying to outplay each other. Our teams were kind of controlling the game, right? So that last one was very interesting. You could see he was very passive, and so was I, sort of, because we knew that it was up to our team to kind of make the play for us for once. And luckily for us, we had the hammer in the bottom lane, just slowly cruising to the victory. But yeah, it was a good game. I love playing against Goku. He's a great top laner.
Wait it out and let the hammer do the work. I like that approach. It seems discipline there helped out a lot. I'm going to send you over to Dread.
First of all, I've just got to say congratulations with, being able to get married and things of the like and grow and have that going on there. But also just with this weekend, when it comes to the adjustments and all the drama that's kind of been going on, action within your life and things like that, how did it feel like approaching this series here today for HeroesHearth Esports?
It's crazy because we had the Arthalon thing happen, and I'm sure people know that I was gone for a few weeks. I just got married last weekend. I think the hardest part for us this week was that we kind of had to adjust to this new meta. It's this hammer meta. I know everyone's so excited about it, but it is the meta, and it is how you have to play the game. Luckily for us, we were able to adjust and kind of learn from our LFM series on Friday, so shout outs to them. They played a very good hammer comp, and then kind of bring that into our play style. We're a very explosive wombo team, and it doesn't really work against that comp. So yeah, it was a pretty stressful 2 weeks, but I'm glad that we were able to find our kind of, team compositions to get us to the victory.
in the kind of note of the hammer meta that is coming in that everybody's so excited for, a guy that seems to be pretty excited from your guys' perspective has got to be Crowan now that Li Ming is coming back as like the immediate North American answer. He's been putting on a clinic, it feels like, all weekend on that Li Ming. I'm just curious, does he bring something out in comms when that happens? Because he feels like he is hitting orbs and like hitting kills that nobody else on Li Ming. Does he just go, I've got this before it goes down? What does that feel like there in those fights?
It's great with Crowan. When he sees the play, he'll let you know, and that energy kind of takes over the team, and we feel that we can make the play if he's going to make the play. I know when the Zera comp, if I get a big cleave, he's looking, and then if the orb hits, I'm going right back in with Vorpal, and we're going to try to, win from there. So it's been really nice to have Crowan on the heroes that he's strong on, and it was great to see him on Hammer today and really show up and dominate.
Yeah, it's amazing to be able to see that, mental strength, I feel like, and emotional strength from you guys through everything. Again, not only in your personal life here, but as a roster. So thank you very much there for the insight, McIntyre, and congrats on the win here today. I'm going to give you back to JL.
Thanks.
Mac, you guys are not yet qualified for BlizzCon, but you're awfully darn close. When you look at your schedule ahead, you just have to win a couple of games now, especially after the victory today. Tempo Storm would have to have a lot of luck to get into position. For you guys, you have the roster issue to deal with, but looking at your schedule overall, where do you see, okay, we can relax, we need to get a couple of wins and relax and move forward, and then try and figure out the meta during the downtime and, of course, the roster situation?
I think it's definitely something to think about, considering we get that month break if we do end up qualifying as a first seed for BlizzCon. So that's on our mind for sure. Obviously, we take every weekend one game at a time. That's, I think, the best way to just do this thing. But we, with this win, do feel incredibly confident. I think at this point, we may need to win just one game in the next 6 that we get to play, So it does feel really good. For once, I'm in a position to maybe make a BlizzCon. This is 3 years, almost 4 now, that I've just come up short. So it's very special to me, and I'm so lucky to have a team like I do to give me the chance to be here with them and experience this with them. So we're looking forward to these next 2 games, and we'll see where it takes us.
The climb continues for you, McIntyre. Congrats on the big win today. We'll see if you guys can confirm that spot in the coming weeks. For now, The floor is yours.
Well, I just want to say thanks to everyone in the Twitch chat. I appreciate you guys, even the haters. I also want to shout out to my new wife, Michelle. She's awesome. She's an esports wife. There's not many out there, so she's pretty cool for that. Shout out to my teammates. Shout out to my sponsor, HeroesHearth. You can check out builds, guides, get cool shirts, get cool jerseys, all sorts of swag, all sorts of cool stuff there. If you're trying to get better at Heroes, that's the place to go. But also shout out to you guys. Appreciate the cast, and you guys always do so great.
Appreciate it, man.
Cheers, everyone.
Have a great week, man.
Yep. You too.
Dreadnought, what a way to end our weekend.
As we get a little bit of McIntyre with us still.
Everybody likes some extra McIntyre.
There's not such thing as too much McIntyre, It's like salt and pepper. You can put it on everything. I don't know. I was trying.
Salt, maybe, but pepper? Come on.
All right.
Man. You know me.
All right.
You know me. Look, we got some expanded standings for you guys to put some of this into context so you can see how this plays out. It's overall your match score, then it goes to your plus minus. If HeroesHearth goes 0-6 and Tempo goes 6-0, then we look at something wild for HeroesHearth. Seems unlikely.
Yeah.
But in Heroes, you never know. That's why they have not yet qualified. At least that's the information we got and broke down. So there's still some contention for that. Tempo Storm, Team Freedom seem to be battling for that number 2, number 3 spot. We have a ladder system for playoffs. The higher seed you are, the less games you have to play, else you have to play your way up. So it's very important for some of these teams over the remaining weeks. We saw the bottom end earlier for the Crucible range teams, but this is the top end where playoff seeding oh so crucial.
And for anybody who maybe struggles to understand the actual value you gain by having that higher positioning within the playoffs, I think the best way to look at it is, you know, when we have our Western and Eastern clashes, if you struggle in your first series, you see how many series that team has to play. It adds not only an extra series, but the amount of time they have to perform on that level. It's not the same in terms of the day-to-day, but it is very much the same in how many games you end up playing, how mentally fatigued you're going to be, and more importantly, how much time your opponent got to rest, look at you and be like, I know what you're going to play.
It's going to be fun to watch. Still got a few more weeks of action before we hit the playoffs, but that's going to do it for us here at week number 8. We appreciate you guys hanging out. Hope you guys had as much fun as we did. We will see you next week. Till then, we'll see you in the Nexus. Directly on top of the boss. This is chaos everywhere as Drayden trying to survive, and now the attention is on the boss.
They have no mech explosion. They have no mech explosion yet, so they don't have the opportunity. Concussion Mine knocks it off. Jet Propulsion comes in, locks down 3. Diva mech explosion is available now. Justin's going to go in. He sets it down.
Goodness.
Everybody's stuck in a corner. Drayden is there. The explosion gets pulled all the way back. HeroesHearth lose 3 members. Auto attacks out from Prismat, locks down the 4th, and with that, Octalysis look to take game number 1. Openhip just said, well, what if I remove your spell of power immediately after 4 seconds every time he throws that out? I'm going to say that's a winning trade there for Goku. Justin split from the rest of the team here.
Oh, he dodged it. He dodged the cocoon. He dodged the cocoon, did Crowan, so that tool is no longer available. There's the VP on the back side.
Get the kill.
It's alone on the front. That's going to be the kill. They're looking for more. McIntyre with 16 is going to start ripping these heroes apart. There's going to be the bunker. That will help get another kill there. McIntyre trying to survive,
but they're low.
HeroesHearth clutch this out. 3 members down. McIntyre somehow stays alive. It's a 4-for-1 trade.
And Goku, the last man standing for Full Sunder is going to be a big problem here. Void goes down, Sunder goes down, it's stacked actually. Vornado also used Flailing Swipe there. Bud's in a bad position. Decker Kane is stuck into the cocoon. Talking Trees on an island. The Bud's lockdown route gets the silence there, but it comes at the cost of his own life here. 1-to-1. Prismat takes a lot of damage by Crowan, trying to find a reset. Ishbu lands a groundbreaker, but Prismat's damage there. Look at Mac, goes over the wall, gets the combo, gets the damage, and Crowan gets the reset. Time's up, let's do this. McIntyre leaps in. Howling Blast thrown down. Talking Trees immediately gets blown up here as he is unable to survive. Buds is now the focus, trying to kite away, but Ishbu gets tethered back. Another fan of knives, and Drayden gets a reset after reset. Isolation onto Raynor. Or once they threaten the back door, HeroesHearth responds. Octalysis gets free damage. 2 catapults are going to be building. A lot of damage goes through. They get the isolation, and Goku gets the kill onto Arthas. Divine Shield use onto Goku. Drayden's in a bad spot for a moment, knowing that he doesn't have the healing available, but then he quickly turns around there with a huge orb out from Prismat. Resets just popping off here. Critical mass achieved. 4 members of HeroesHearth go down, and now
Dread, if they don't end here,
I think that
HeroesHearth gets back into the game, and we have seen comebacks many times when you are down 2 kills.
Oh, the brush shot though.
Here it comes, Goku. There's going to be the knockback. There's reset number 1. Arthas instantly exploded. Contagion's going to land. Goku comes in, grabs another one. McIntyre, he's going to go down. Goku make me some plays, and there we go. Octalysis will finally close out this game as the Immortal has moved to the core.
Being confident, but they do make it. Now Goku leaps forward. He's going to get rooted in. Condemned with the isolation back, and that is a good night. Goku is out of here. McIntyre lands a drag. 2 for nothing. HeroesHearth just open up that skirmish.
Around, the DK comes in, gets the kickback. Ancient Blessings trying to rip this down. BFG comes out as well. The DK down to 50%. Octalysis trying to hold. HeroesHearth trying to close it out. Drayden goes in the backside, as does Goku. There's going to be a stun. The shields have fallen. The DK, it's already taking down the core. 60% falling. Octalysis needs to return, but it looks like HeroesHearth does have enough to close out this series. And